Here are Jerry Smith's worst and dumbest moments ever. 14. Losing his job over an idea involving apples.
This idea was tested in a state-of-the-art simulation.
Well, then it was a terrible simulation. Get out. You're fired.
Imagine being so useless that you get fired from your job within the first 4 episodes of the season.
I give you your new slogan.
Yes, Jerry Smith was really violated in this episode, despite not even being the primary focus. With Rick and Morty being abducted by the Zagarians, who love a good twist, the iconic duo has to put in a lot of effort to get rid of unwanted simulations.
I am finally complete.
On the other hand, Jerry has accidentally been abducted into the simulation too, but calmly goes about the day's events without noticing the numerous glitches in it, as his simulation is made to run on very low capacity. Yup, the man is so incompetent that he doesn't even realize he's in the Matrix when the Matrix is literally screaming it into his ears.
And I shouldn't be fired. I should be promoted.
Yes.
Yeah! Wait, really?
Yes.
Yes!
Anyway, Jerry drives to work and gives a pitch for a marketing slogan for apples called Hungry for Apples.
With that, I give you your new slogan.
Zrenia, which the board members approve in the substandard simulation, Jerry is filled with unbounded confidence and promptly leaves to get freaky with a ridiculously simulated Beth. The fact that this was his best time ever with his wife should be enough to tell you how much of a loser Jerry is. And yes, if this wasn't enough of a warning for him, the man literally tries the same pitch in the real world and gets fired because it's clearly a ripoff of Got Milk. It's so silly that you don't even feel sorry for the guy. 13. Being unfrozen in time only to be ridiculed by his family.
Hurry up, Morty. Grandpa's about to unfreeze time.
Put a shirt on your dumb dad, and let's get this dumb universe rolling.
There's nothing earth-shattering about this, especially as per Rick and Morty's standards, but it's just really sad that when Rick decides to unfreeze time, Morty doesn't even care about his dad enough to put his shirt on correctly. This comes after Rick and the kids decide to chill after freezing the rest of the planet just for the sake of covering up after a wild house party. That's selfish enough as it is, but then with Jerry trying to walk in to make a scene after what he saw from the outside, you'd imagine he'd at least be given a little more respect. Come on, Morty, can't you at least pretend that you care about what your dad thinks? Also, afterwards, Jerry lies that he did it himself just so that he could prove a point despite nobody caring about it. So yes, that's wildly depressing from any perspective.
Hey, is your shirt on backwards?
Yeah, I like it this way. I'm not stupid. Phew.
12. Trying to manipulate his own daughter.
I just wanted to spend some time with my daughter. You're growing up so fast. Used to be my little girl.
Yeah.
In the episode Look Who's Purging Now, there's a lot that's going with Rick and Morty, who have to rely on parodying Iron Man in order to get out of a tricky situation. However, there's a side plot that tells us a lot about the Smith family's failed patriarch. At first, it appears that Jerry is actually trying to make an honest effort to get to know his daughter a little better. As one would expect of a teenage daughter, Summer instantly rebuffs his attempts at conversation, but later relents and gives in. Jerry goes on to tell Summer how proud he is to be her father, along with a lot of other statements that make you believe it to truly be a touching moment.
You were so small and cute. I thought you were gonna fly right off into the street.
That is, until it is revealed that Jerry was merely manipulating Summer into loaning him some money so that he could use it to do something stupid in the hopes of landing a job and ending his unemployment.
I just need a few $100s to get through the month. I have some interviews coming up.
I'm going inside.
I guess this is what rock bottom feels like, Jerry.
11th, messing it up with Gobo.
You have Gobo. You were supposed to bring him to the hill.
As if he was in your basket.
He was in your car. Oof, dibs on his stuff.
When the alien Gobo crash landed on Earth, he needed help from the Smiths in order to get home, which gave way to a nice team effort. Working together, the Smith family and Rick Sanchez nearly helped Gobo safely return to his home planet as well. Everything went according to plan, and everybody did their jobs perfectly. Well, apart from Jerry, the Smith family carefully coordinated a multi-step plan in order to save Gobo, and it actually felt like a rock-solid plan from the outset. Everyone was given an important task, task as per their competencies, and for the most part, it all worked out. Of course, knowing that Jerry wasn't exactly the most reliable member of the family, his only job was to bring Gobo to his ship. However, it turns out that you can't even count on him for something so simple.
Did you guys get Gobo home?
You have Gobo. You were supposed to bring him to the hill.
As if. He was in your basket.
He was in your car.
As Jerry not only forgets about Gobo, but also leaves him in his trunk where the alien dies of suffocation. Yay, I agree with Rick erasing this memory from Jerry's mind, because I sure as heck would not be able to live with myself after such a horrible mess up. 10. Jerry will just not improve no matter what.
You know what, Mr. Meeseeks? I don't think this is working. I give up.
Oh, come on out, Jerry!
Guys, I'll choke up, I'll follow through, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, okay?
One of the most interesting creatures we've met in Rick and Morty is without doubt Mr. Meeseeks, who is a super helpful blue guy that pops up out of nowhere, determined to complete any task you give him.
You make a request. Mr. Meeseeks, open Jerry's stupid mayonnaise jar.
Yes, sirree.
The Meeseeks fulfills the request,
All done.
Wow.
and then it stops existing.
Imagine having an organism whose sole purpose is to help you solve your problem.
Set them free.
You're saying I should leave Jerry.
That's a great addition to any household or individual, but the problem is that some people are beyond help. Take Jerry Smith, for example.
I have to fulfill my purpose so I can go away.
Well, make yourself comfortable because I suck.
No, Jerry, I'm the one who sucks.
After asking Mr. Meeseeks to help him take 2 strokes off his golf swing, you'd think it would be a piece of cake for him, and it got to the point where we felt that he was the only one who made a sensible decision, unlike his wife and daughter. However, Jerry gets frustrated and very easily gives up on the task, seemingly uninterested in the fact that failing to let Mr. Meeseeks help him goes against a Meeseeks' life purpose. But not to worry, Mr. Meeseeks summons backup, and soon Jerry is fighting off an entire army of distraught blue men who end up taking a whole restaurant hostage just because a wannabe Tiger Woods can't even get the basics of golf right. 9. Locking his own wife out of the car.
Whoa, what the hell? Open the door, open the door!
There isn't time, just run!
Okay, so this one is pretty simple for husbands all over the world to remember. Do not lock your wife out of the car and leave her to suffer a terrible fate at the hands of a random stranger with a weapon. Well, this is actually more of common sense to avoid jail time, but such is the situation when you're dealing with a fool like Jerry Smith. Seriously, it doesn't take an interdimensional traveling father-in-law who also happens to be the smartest man in the universe to know that.
Sorry, Jerry. We're real.
I'm a parasite.
Yeah, but you're real.
This short flashback during a brief moment of reflection for Beth highlights just how cowardly and pathetic her husband can be. The scene shows a terrified Jerry running from a homeless man with a broken bottle in a parking lot. It's pretty messed up in the first place, and I don't mind Jerry running to save his life. What I do mind is that he bumps into Beth, his wife, and the mother of his children, but he doesn't even bother explaining to her why he's running until he reaches the car and locks himself in, safe and sound. The man is basically leaving his wife to fend for herself, even though chances of success are super low. Words of encouragement are not as good as actual help, so this particular moment also made tons of fans look down on Jerry for being a shameless coward.
Get out here and help me!
They say you shouldn't do that, just run!
8. He's not even nice to dogs.
God.
What's wrong?
Your idiot dog!
Oh, he didn't mean it, Dad.
Bad dog, bad!
Morty,
You wouldn't by any chance have some sort of crazy science thing you could whip up that might help make this dog a little smarter?
In a perfect world, all of our pets would be well behaved without any need for discipline. But it ain't a perfect world, and sometimes you've just gotta grin and bear it, like everyone else. Unfortunately, it seems that Jerry, however, doesn't have the patience to deal with a cute, innocent dog. Annoyed that their pet Snuffles keeps peeing in the house, Jerry insists that Rick use one of his crazy science things to make Snuffles smarter. Although this is something you can solve with basic training. To make matters worse, Jerry also says he'll ground Morty if Rick doesn't do what he says.
You make that dog smart, or Morty's grounded.
Oh, man.
Yes, use blackmail to get the smartest man in the universe to work for you. See how that works for you. As with most other things Jerry thinks up, the plan goes terribly wrong and things get dark and violent really fast. Even peeing on those weapons was a pretty stupid thing to do. So I actually wonder what Beth saw in this guy all those years ago.
Bad person. Bad.
ooh, Great plan, Jerry.
So remember folks, be nice to your dog. You never know when they might get some bionic legs and try to enslave you the same way you did them. 7. Jerry can't even dump his girlfriend properly. Ending a relationship is never easy, regardless of what position you might be in. But ending a relationship by pretending that your kids are racist and are making you do it against your own will is just about the worst way to go about it, and if I haven't said it already, super cowardly as well. So of course, that's exactly what Jerry does, because it's a part of his whole brand identity. After Beth decided to leave him, Jerry was on a desperate search for a rebound woman, as would any loser bro. He ended up settling with an alien warrior priestess known as Kiara, which I personally think was a miracle of God. They met on an intergalactic dating website recommended by Rick, so I guess maybe she ignored those red flags owing to a difference in species. Anyway, Jerry carelessly begins the relationship with no regard for Kiara's customs, and it even goes as far as the two creating a soul bond. When Jerry later reveals he was merely using Kiara as a rebound, that doesn't end very well for either of them. Struggling to think of a way to break up with his alien girlfriend, Jerry, as always, decides to take the easy way out and blame someone else.
Dad, what's going on?
We're going to Alaska.
What? Why?
It's nice there.
Kiara doesn't take the news lightly though,
Also, I broke up with Kiara and she didn't take it well and she wants to murder you two.
What?
and goes on a vengeful rampage, hunting down Morty and Summer. Love hurts, Jerry, but your misadventures in love should not result in alien warriors hunting your kids. 6. Hiding like a coward while Beth saves the day. There are times for action and times for cowering in fear. When the lives of your loved ones are on the line, we definitely argue in favor of action. But that ain't Jerry's style, and I don't think it will ever be his style for as long as Rick and Morty is a thing.
If you can find one too, we should be safe for hours, maybe days.
When he and Beth are faced with certain death, Jerry comes up with a cunning plan, which is to hide in a hole in the wall. Just like the case of the homeless dude with the bottle, Beth is forced to find her own hiding spot and also come up with a plan for survival. Despite this being pretty par for the course in terms of Jerry being a disappointment, it actually proves to be something of a tipping point in the couple's relationship. Jerry does eventually jump out of his hidey hole and try to rescue Beth, only to be chased off by a worm, which is supposed to be what his own wife thinks of him.
Read it and weep, bitch.
I'd say that's mean, but it's true if you look at Jerry's behavior. Also, just remember that this was supposed to be a couples therapy experience for the both of them, and yet the husband is the one who cowers for cover. 5. Bowing down to the invaders and selling out Rick.
Grandpa Rick wouldn't put up with this.
Stop saying his name. He abandoned us.
Willem Dafoe.
With Rick in prison, Earth gets colonized by aliens from the Galactic Federation, forcing its inhabitants to live under a totalitarian regime, which is not at all favorable to a liberal lifestyle. Someone needed to step up to the plate and save the day, but that someone was not Jerry, as is pretty much understandable if you've gotten this far to the video. In fact, when Summer and Morty set out to free Rick and fix things, Jerry went on to argue that their new subservient way of life ain't all that bad.
Oh yeah, the Galactic Federation taking over Earth, best thing that's ever happened to this family. I just got my 6th promotion this week and I still don't know what I do.
He actually embraces his new position under the heel of extraterrestrials, because at least it means him actually having a job. Yes, this man is willing to sacrifice the happiness of his own family just so that he can feel like he's in charge again. Not only that, when Rick comes back and saves the day for the entire planet, Jerry doesn't thank him for anything at all. He just blames Rick for everything and then gives Beth an ultimatum, stating she has to choose either him or Rick. That's a toughie when your biggest contribution to the rebellion was crawling back home like a pathetic worm. No wonder Beth manifested that form of his back in the couple's counseling episode. Being insistent on dated facts about Pluto.
You asked him if Pluto's a planet, didn't you? No! I don't care what anyone says. If it can be a planet, it can be a planet again. Planet, planet, planet.
For all of you who may by some miracle of God be unaware of this fact, let me just set the record straight by saying Pluto is not a planet. That's correct. Its status was changed to that of a dwarf planet in 2006 and has not changed again at least until the time of writing this script. That's not enough evidence for Jerry Smith's line of thinking though. While helping make a solar system model for Morty's homework, Jerry insists that Pluto is a planet, ignoring absolutely everyone who tells him otherwise, even NASA themselves.
I told you I want to file a declaration that Pluto is a planet. I'm suing you first. Think I know what the A in NASA stands for?
Just so you know, he's only acting so stubborn because he does not want to admit that he's wrong in front of his son. This stupid act results in him and Morty being abducted to Pluto to spread the good word to its inhabitants.
You really gave it to those guys at NASA.
Sometimes science is about conviction.
Problem is, Jerry's stubbornness only furthers the efforts of the greedy corporations on Pluto, who are decimating the celestial dwarf by mining plutonium from its core. That's right, only Jerry could turn homework into planetary destruction for the sake of his ego. 3. Conspiring to kill Rick with a bunch of total strangers.
Would you help me kill him?
What?
Do you like theme park rides?
Oh, you really moved on.
It should be abundantly clear by now that Jerry is jealous of Rick, or basically anyone who's better than him, which would make for a massive list. He's jealous of Rick's genius, quick wit, his relationship with Beth, and he hates being belittled by him even though he's right all the time. And for the most part, yeah, Rick doesn't make much of an effort to hide his disdain for his son-in-law, primarily because he knew his daughter could do so much better. In this particular episode, however, Rick goes out of his way, on Morty's insistence, to make Jerry feel more included. Imagine being so pathetic that your own son has to give you a sympathy episode with his space buddy. No sooner are they off-world, however, than Jerry meets an alien and becomes involved in a plot to kill Rick. As Rick starts apologizing for his behavior, Jerry starts feeling guilty, but it's too late. Thankfully, Rick can take care of himself, and he gets out of the tricky situation, although he does make Jerry regret it later. 2. Selling out Rick once again at a wedding.
Now that he's gone, can we please talk about our situation?
Dad, you can't talk about people behind their back. You know, it's a small world.
But, and this is purely hypothetical, what if we turn your father into the government?
In this episode, the world is in danger of being taken over, and Rick is at the center of it all. Yay, it's not really surprising to hear such things after following the show for years, but at the time of this episode's release, it was still a big thing. After attending a deeply uncool wedding, Rick and the family find themselves on the run from the Galactic Federation, hiding out on a miniature planet that closely resembles Earth. Sure enough, Jerry quickly concocts a plan to save his own butt while disguising it as something for the family. He suggests, hypothetically of course, that they just turn Rick in, all while Rick is listening to his betrayal under the floorboards. Afterwards, Rick even decides to bow to Jerry's wishes, knowing that it's best for the family, but that doesn't change the fact that it was an incredibly low move on Jerry's part to even suggest it. 1. Choosing his male member over someone else's life.
I'm a good person, and I demand that you cut off my and put it in that man's chest.
That's not how it works.
Okay, so this is a long story, which is why it tops the list. But it basically is to do with Jerry donating his male member to save the life of the galaxy's most famous civil rights leader, Shrimply Pibbles. Yay, we know, nobody wants to lose their bits, but Jerry makes a bad situation so much worse when there was no need to. First he says no.
If we replace his heart with your human
I see. Wait, what?
Then he changes his mind after a guilt trip.
Take it all! And tell Shrimply Pibbles that when the galaxy came calling, Jerry Smith from Earth didn't flinch.
But then he has second thoughts, so he attempts to back out of it by snooping into Pibbles' medical records in order to destroy his reputation. None of that works because at that point, it appears to be too late.
Well, it occurs to me that his heroin addiction may not have been a matter of public record.
You realize
He can't live outside of it without breathing heroin.
Then the doctors of the hospital manage to develop a new artificial organ that can replace the civil rights leader's heart. Instead of being happy and relieved, Jerry is horrified as his reputation is gonna sink even further. Because of this, there is no way for him to regain his honor, so he decides to hold up the operating room with a gun and force them to remove his thingy. I mean, geez, Jerry, just make up your mind for crying out loud. Do you agree with me on this? Let me know in the comments if you want to see another topic. Okay then, see you in the next one.